I have spent hundreds and thousands of dollars trying, buying, and reviewing the most hyped up cologne fragrances of all time. But these are the only 10 that I can honestly give a perfect 10 out of 10 rating. If you're trying to ball on a budget and just smell your best without breaking your bank account, keep your eyes open and your ears peeled, because this video is basically tailor-made for you. We're going to be kicking this off with Haramain's Amber Oud Gold Edition. Now, this fragrance clones the extremely hyped up Xerjoff Herba Pura. And between you and me, I don't even know how Xerjoff Herba Pura got so hyped up. It's an extremely powerful, very, very sweet, creamy, fruity fragrance. Definitely leans more feminine than masculine. So it's very interesting, and it always perplexes me how it got so big in the men's fragrance community. But this here is the best clone of Herba Pura that I have tried. I've tried a whole bunch of Herba Pura clones, and this is the one that has gotten the closest from my experience. Haramain Amber Oud Gold is one of the more expensive clone fragrances on this list. But unlike a lot of other clones I've tried, and even clones on this list, the performance is very similar to the original creation. You still get that super musky dry down with the fruitiness, the creaminess, that kind of vanilla element, but the performance is almost as strong as the original. And if you guys know anything about Herba Pura is an absolute nuclear beast mode fragrances. I mean, like, one of the strongest fragrances I have ever put my nose to, and this doesn't fall that far behind it. And for just $70 US, that is pretty impressive. Although Haramain Amber Oud Gold is a fantastic clone, if you have the money for it, I actually suggest you don't get either that or Herba Pura, but instead you get Herba Gold. This has a very similar fruity vibe, but it adds a more tropical element, and it has a very prominent mango note. I think this is just a lot easier to wear. It's still very strong. I just don't find it's as screechy and it's kind of in your face and synthetic as the original Herba Pura. The second perfect 10 out of 10 clone fragrance on this list is here, not just because of the smell and the performance, but actually from the sheer amount of compliments it has pulled me. And I know that sounds shallow, but I do not care. It is this huge black brick, not the prettiest thing in the world, but man, it pulls compliments. Club de Nuit Intense Man. This one here though is the EDP version. Personally, I own pretty much every Club de Nuit fragrance, and in fact, I do have a Club de Nuit tier list video coming very soon. But spoiler alert, this one is going to be ranked highly up there because you get a 200 ml bottle, so you're basically never going to run out of the juice. Great value for money. It's around 100 Australian dollars. And like I said, you get the Creed Aventus DNA. So yes, it's a clone of the famous Creed Aventus. That citrusy, leathery, woody, pineapple vibe to it. This one though, the EDP is a little bit less harsh in the opening than the EDT, which is why I like it so much. When I first picked this up, I was kind of worried. I was like, I swear this just smells like the EDT, but when you do compare them side by side, there is a big difference in that opening. The EDT, in my opinion, the opening is just too harsh for me to want to wear. This though smooths it out. You still get great longevity. Projection isn't quite as in your face, but I kind of like that's a bit more subtle. It's still strong, don't get me wrong. It's just not fully beast mode like the EDT is. I don't own the original Creed Aventus, but one of my good friends wears it as his signature on nights out, and in the air, these two honestly smell nearly identical. For that reason, it is a 10 out of 10. For the reason it pulls heaps of compliments, it's a 10 out of 10. And the fantastic value for money and performance, it's a 10 out of 10 clone fragrance. I don't know what else to tell you. If you enjoy the Creed Aventus smell but want something a little bit more dense and heavy, maybe better suited for the colder weather, Club de Nuit do this one here. Club de Nuit Pressure. It's a clone of Creed Aventus Absolute. Costs a bit more money, but the quality is right up there, just like Club de Nuit EDP. This can't be an FB Fragrances clone video without talking about Lattafa, especially since this is a 10 out of 10 clone fragrance video, and Lattafa makes some of the best in the game. This one is my recent Lattafa pickup, Lattafa Najdia Intense. And to be quite honest with you guys, I don't know if I've been using this stuff long enough to give it a perfect 10 out of 10, but based off my limited uses, this stuff is freaking incredible. It is a clone of Jean-Paul Gaultier's Paradise Gardens. The main difference I've noticed is that this is even more of a minty fresh vibe with the coconut toned down a little bit, whereas Paradise Gardens is all in on that kind of coconut vibe. This is still really good though, about 85% similarity. Performance isn't quite there. It's only around 5 to 6 hours longevity, so I would have to dock at some points for that. But for just $35 USD, this is a solid pickup for me. Like, I have no regrets. If I'm being generous Riiffs, it's a 10 out of 10. Realistically though, probably closer to an 8.5 or a 9. But if you enjoy Jean Paul Gaultier Paradise Garden scent profile like I do, you would love this stuff, and I highly doubt you would have any regrets picking it up. Whilst we are discussing Lattafa and how damn good their clone fragrances are, we got to talk about this one here, the classic Lattafa Khamrah. This won like Middle Eastern Fragrance of the Year award in 2023, and that alone should tell you how freaking good this fragrance is. If it was up to me, I would include Lattafa Khamrah Kawa instead of this, but because we're talking about clones, this one applies a little bit more. There's still a lot of debate in the fragrance community as to whether this is actually a clone of Kayhaan's Angel Share or if it's his own thing. Look, I think it is a clone, guys. If you put them on tester strips and smell them side by side, I am telling you, there are some such strong similarities. The bottle design as well, like, come on, like, let's be honest here. We know what Lattafa was doing by copying Angel Share here, guys. Yes, they did put their own twist on it. This one is a lot more kind of cinnamon heavy in my experience. It has a more praline kind of date vibe to it, whereas Kayhaan's Angel Share focuses a lot more on that realistic boozy aspect. Both are fantastic. I own both. I wear both fairly equally. Honestly, I don't even think it's redundant to own both, but I am still standing by the fact that this is a clone because it is so heavily inspired by Kayhaan's Angel Share. Performance on this is fantastic. I actually get better performance from this than the real Angel Share. On top of that, it only costs around $40 US, or if you're from Australia like me, around 70 to 80 bucks if you know where to find it. While you guys are here with me, make sure to like and subscribe if you are enjoying this video. By liking, you push this video out onto the YouTube algorithm, and by subscribing, you get to see more of my videos every single day. Onto a fragrance that I actually don't have the original of, but I know how it smells very distinctly. The clone is called Cremo, Spice, and Black Vanilla, and it is an inspiration of the original, I don't know, either the original Spice Bomb or Spice Bomb Extreme. It kind of smells like a mixture. I think this leans closer to Spice Bomb Extreme for just around 40 Aussie dollars or 30 USD. This one might actually be the best value on this entire list. I also think it could be the most underrated too. I hardly see people making videos about it. My friend Fragrance Knowledge, who you might have seen on TikTok and Instagram, used to post about this all the time, but for the past 2 years, just nothing, and it's still widely available. It just launched here in Australia, and it is fantastic. As you guys saw, pressurized atomizer, smells like Spice Bomb Extreme. Performance for an Eau de Toilette honestly isn't bad. It's definitely stronger on the projection side than the longevity. For longevity, I get around 5 hours max, but then projection is actually pretty good for the first 2 hours or so. Fun fact, I actually don't own a single Spice Bomb fragrance in my collection, and actually this fragrance is a big driving factor for why I don't own Spice Bomb Original or Spice Bomb Extreme. I find Spice Bomb Original smells great, just doesn't perform well. Spice Bomb Extreme performs okay, it's been reformulated, but still okay, and it smells good. I just don't have a need to buy it. This is just a great clone, and it definitely deserves to be on this ranking. The next clone is from a brand that I discovered in Dubai at the Beauty World event like 3 months ago. It is the brand Riiffs. This one is called Inspiro for men, and I actually only tried it a week ago. Like, the brand owner, he gave it to me when I left for Dubai. He was like, Le Meilleur Parfum by Jean Paul Gaultier is one of your favorite fragrances ever, right? Like, I've seen your videos. I was like, yeah. He's like, okay, try our clone of it. I was like, okay, cool. Brought it back with me on the plane, and I just forgot I had it until a week ago, and I smelt it, and I was like, damn, this is way more interesting than I expected, because it has the Le Meilleur Parfum DNA, but it's a lot more vanilla heavy, and it tones down the iris a little bit. It kind of reminds me of a mix of Ultramalt and Le Meilleur Parfum. Performance as well, not bad, not great. 6 hours longevity, soft to moderate projection. I have a full review of this up on my TikTok if you're interested. I always say get the original if you can afford it, especially with JPG, because their fragrances aren't that expensive, especially on discounters. But if you're really trying to ball on a budget, you don't mind that the iris isn't as strong in a fragrance like this, Inspiro by Riiffs could be a good option for you. Would I say this is a perfect 10 out of 10 clone? Honestly, probably not, but a big reason why it's on this list is because I'm yet to find another clone of Le Meilleur Parfum. So if you're after that scent profile, but you can't find a clone, this one here could be a 10 out of 10 for you, since there's not many other options on the market right now. Up next with another 10 out of 10 banger from Lattafa. Well, this one's from Maison Alhambra, which is owned by Lattafa, so I'm kind of counting it. It is called The Tux. And this one, as you probably have guessed already, is a clone of YSL Tuxedo. Absolutely shameless naming from Mason Alhambra with this one. This fragrance is a super earthy, patchouli, vanilla fragrance. Honestly, might just be the most unique smelling fragrance on this list. And I actually would say, make sure you don't buy this as a standalone blind buy, because there's a good chance you're not gonna like it. This is not for everyone. Make sure you definitely know you like the smell of the original YSL Tuxedo, because personally, I have never smelt the OG Tuxedo, and I blind bought this, which was stupid because as soon as I smelt it, I was like, this is one that is gonna have to grow on me. It's not something I'm gonna love straight away. And over time, it definitely has grown on me. The patchouli and the greenness and the herbalness in this fragrance is so strong and prominent. Yeah, just make sure you like the original before you go out and buy this one, even though it is really affordable. This is just a very unique winter fragrance. I really, really like it. Again, it did have to grow on me, but now I find myself reaching for this more and more. Performance, not great, to be honest with you guys, but just from a smell, uniqueness, price standpoint, I'm gonna give this a 10 out of 10, and I think it does deserve to be on this list. Anyone out there that has tried this and YSL Tuxedo though, definitely drop in the comments if you think they are close, because I just don't know. This could smell nothing like YSL Tuxedo, but just from a standalone, it smells really, really good. This next fragrance ticks the criteria the best out of this entire list of being the closest replica to the fragrance it is cloning. This one here is called Kayhaan Classic, and it is a very, very popular clone of Dior Homme Intense, and boy, oh freaking boy, does it smell so identical. It is insane. So the actual brand is called Al Watanya. This is the only fragrance I've tried from the brand and the only fragrance I've heard of from the brand. But Kayhaan Classic, I don't know how they've done this, but like, why won't it? What the? Whoa. Powdery, creamy, almost chocolatey iris. It is such a beautiful and elevated scent. Genuinely, guys, with how badly Dior Homme Intense performs on me now in 2024 with these recent batches, I'm choosing this over Dior Homme Intense. Like, I own both. If I decide I want to wear Dior Homme Intense, I wear this instead and then tell people I'm wearing Dior Homme Intense, because the reality is, from opening to dry down, this smells 95% the same, but the performance is just a little bit better. It's still not great in the grand scheme of fragrances performance overall, but compared to the real Dior Homme Intense, it is definitely better. I actually do own Dior Homme Parfum now. I made the investment, and honestly, performance and smell wise, Dior Homme Parfum clears both of this and the original Dior Homme Intense. But if you don't own Dior Homme Parfum, if you want a beautiful iris fragrance without the high price tag and with better performance, Kayhaan Classic, I can vouch for. And if you don't like it and you don't think it smells similar to Dior Homme Intense, firstly, I would call you a liar, but secondly, I'll take the blame for it, because I just don't believe you would ever say that to me, because it smells that damn similar. This next clone fragrance is the most expensive, but it might just be the best in every category on this list. It is the super hyped up Game of Spades Full House. And if you haven't heard about this fragrance already, it is a clone of Louis Vuitton's Imagination. I recently posted a full review of this on my TikTok page, and it was basically me having a cry because 5 days before I heard about this fragrance, I bought the real Imagination. And it's just funny how the world works. I hear no one talking about this fragrance, I buy the real thing, and suddenly every video on my TikTok feed is someone reviewing this fragrance, and every comment I'm getting is asking me to review this. Maybe that's Louis Vuitton texting me, guys, being like, don't tell them about this fragrance. In all seriousness though, Game of Spades Full House, it makes me mad how good it is after buying the original, but I'm gonna put my biases aside and admit that yes, this is a 10 out of 10 clone fragrance in terms of everything except price and longevity. Longevity, 5-6 hours. The real Louis Vuitton Imagination, I get maybe 7. Price as well, 70 USD, and in Australia, you can't even buy this. I had to buy this when I was over in New York a week ago, but yeah, it's 10 out of 10. If you can buy it where you live and you want to smell like Imagination without the $400 price tag, I'm putting you guys on. Get this. The final 10th 10 out of 10 clone on this list is honestly a kind of troll pick, because technically, I'll admit, it's not actually a clone of anything. Let me go get it. The clone fragrance I'm talking about here is too good to not put on this list, despite it not being a real clone. It is Lattafa's Honor and Glory Vanilla Creme Brulee super powdery vanilla fragrance with honestly kind of the most unique atomizer. It like pressure, it goes like out. It reminds me a lot of Le Beau Le Parfum. Similar vibe, not a similar smell, but a similar vibe. I know if I say it smells like Le Beau Le Parfum, I'll get hate in the comments. I'm not saying it smells similar. I'm saying the tropically I'm in Fiji, half naked, sunbathing vibe is there with this fragrance. Unbelievably sexy, very unisex in my opinion, maybe a little bit more masculine. Great performance all around. It doesn't clone something necessarily, but for 50 bucks, this might just be the sexiest fragrance on this clone list. I've kind of ruined the fact it's a clone list, but I have to put this on there. That is gonna wrap it up on 10 out of 10 clone fragrances. Let me know down below if you've tried any of these and which one on this list is your personal favorite. Have a blessed rest of your day. If you got any video ideas, drop them down in the comments. If the comment does well and gets a lot of likes on the comment, then maybe I'll do it. I love you guys. Like, subscribe. Peace.